This is Web3 and Me presented by FLOLiO. On today's show, I'm getting Dan caught up to speed on everything he's missed the last few weeks, including all sorts of shenanigans surrounding Goblintown, mfers, WAGDIE, the different poop projects that have been coming out. So a lot to catch up on. Before we get started, just a reminder, please hit that like button, smash the living shit out of that subscribe button. And as always, nothing we say here counts as financial advice. Dan, welcome back. It's good to see
Thank
you.
you. Thank
How
you.
was your trip? How you feeling in the
Good.
NFT market now that you're back after a few days?
Bad.
Bad.
It's
Down bad.
trip was amazing. I really needed it, and first time in America, seeing a lot of like meeting a lot of new people, seeing all kinds of like culture changes and stuff. So yeah, very exciting. And I happened to mint like a really good NFT while I was there as well. The Admit one by G Money.
Very nice.
Sold that for 12 ETH. So you ever just go on a holiday and make money? Must be
No.
nice.
Yeah, must be nice. So
Yeah.
let's get into it. Let's go ahead and pull up the volume chart over the last 7 days. It's going to look a lot different from when you left. So, a few weeks ago, we were still at this point where trading volume was concentrated around high quality projects, right? It was concentrated around, the blue chips, if you will. And
Yeah.
that has changed considerably. That's very different now. So if we look at this, we have "We're All Going to Die" is number
I
one.
saw
That
that.
wasn't even a thing when you left. Goblintown is still up there. We have 3 Yuga Labs projects in the top 10: Bored Apes, Other Deeds, and Mutant Apes. We have Goblintown, we have McGoblin, we got Troll Town, we got I'll Poop It, like all sorts of weird stuff. So we are in just absolute degen season for NFTs. Everyone is chasing the free mints. That's something, we
Yeah, I
saw
saw that.
last summer, a similar kind of thing where not necessarily free mints, but just people going really degen when the market was down. And that's kind of been the trend lately. So we've seen, you left right after Goblintown came out. And at the time, I didn't like Goblintown. I was like, these are kind of ugly. I don't see this, why are people buying these? I've changed my tune on that. I
Yeah.
actually picked up a few goblins when they had their pullback because I've just, while the art isn't necessarily my style, I don't think it's low effort like I originally, my uncultured eye thought. And so, there's that. They've done some really cool stuff. I don't know if you really have seen anything about the burger claiming process last weekend.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you got basically Saturday night they loaded, or Friday night they opened the McGoblin burger on their website, and you could go on and for each goblin you could claim a burger. But what was really cool was that you could customize it. So there were like 6 different options for like the bun and the patty, and like you had like a whole combo, like the drink and the side and everything. So like each companion piece was customizable. We still don't know yet what exactly those burgers do. They just recently updated the Goblintown website to where there's a button that you can't click quite yet that is going to let you use your burger. So we don't know if that's going to be something that your goblin eats and then it changes the goblin or it creates a secondary. There's also a theory going around, and I thought this was pretty interesting, of you could use that burger to catch another NFT. So like in a lot of these, there's been the goblin, but there's also been like these huge like trolls or orcs or whatever the hell they are. So people are thinking like, oh, maybe you use that and you can capture this other thing, kind of gamifying a little bit. But, I've gained some confidence in the project, just kind of seeing that they are pretty innovative. And these like little pieces of art that they put out like are pretty high quality. And, there was a little bit of controversy last weekend around whether or not Beeple and the Yuga Labs team was involved. Yuga came out and was like, no, we're not involved in this. Beeple still really hasn't said for sure that he is not part of it. So there's still some belief there based off of some of the work he's done. So that's kind of been what's going on with Goblintown. Also yesterday, they've been putting out these little videos where they've been saying what their team is. And they haven't put out like actual people. It's been like goblins.
Yeah.
But yesterday, they put out this picture of Snog, who has a striking resemblance to Snoop Dogg. So he's got a bucket hat on. He's got a joint in his mouth. And, Snoop, as we all know, is very, very involved in the NFT space, right? So here's a picture of Snog. Snoop's
Even the name,
all
right?
about NFTs. So we look at this, and like, you can't say that doesn't kind of look, you got the hat, you got the joint,
Yeah.
you got the mustache. Like, it's totally possible. You know, Snoop Dogg, Snog kind of works. So it's definitely a possibility that he is involved in this. And he hasn't, it's been a popular project that he hasn't really talked about too much on his personal account. So I don't know. And they said yesterday that there's one more team member that they have yet to announce, which could be something big. We could get, you know, even more information about it. And
It's me.
it's Dan. That's where you've
It's
been for
me.
the last 2 weeks, is
Hey,
hanging out.
yeah, I've been heads down building, guys.
Just building, man. Always be building. So that was one of them. We had the We're All Going to Die project.
Yeah,
You,
I heard that's good, right? Like lore, like very heavy lore-wise.
Well, did you hear about the burning they did?
No.
So on Monday, they bought a mutant and they sent it to the burn address. I'll give you 3 guesses whose mutant it was that they bought.
Like they bought a mutant and burned and like sent it to like the burn address.
Yeah.
Was it Beeple? Was it Snoop Dogg? Well, no, wait. Well, no, this is about the We're All Gonna Die, right?
Yeah. So they bought a mutant. Do you know who they bought it from?
I wouldn't know.
Me.
Oh, why? How come?
I have no idea. It was just listed for sale, and like they bought my mutant.
Was
it was
it
very weird?
Was
it was not like an arranged
floor, right?
thing. No, it was above the floor. And I got an email that I had a mutant that sold, and I was like, oh no shit! And I pulled it up. I saw that they were the ones who bought it,
and
it was just bought by the We're All Gonna Die account, and then they sent it to the burn address.
So do you know why?
This is all part of their lore, right? Is that, you know, everyone's gonna die and there's no purpose to all this. Like they had this Twitter Spaces where they had bought it and they had all this like weird music and like the crackling sounds of fire, and then the next thing you know, everyone on Twitter was talking about how it got sent to the burn address. DeKenza's asking, how does it make you feel? Is kind of, you know, I was kind of bummed out a little bit, but I was like, I got my money. It's no longer my response. Like, I don't have any say in what they do with it. I would have preferred that it had gone to someone who like actually wanted to be a part of BAYC and who was like excited about it. Like that would have made me feel a lot better. But at the same time, like, you know, I took that money and I immediately flipped it into USD before ETH took a shit. So I can't be too mad about that. So that's We're All Gonna Die. They had people sending their WAGDIE NFTs to the burn address as well. Also, I think on Wednesday, they were delisted from OpenSea, but it was their own doing for a little bit, which they didn't communicate that to the community. And when they came back, people like panicked and like thinking that they were going to get DMCA'd.
That's
and
funny.
People like, you know, dumped their WAGDIEs. I will give them credit. Like the team behind it was like, sorry, you know, reimburse the people who sold at a big loss, which was good of them to do. I still think they probably could have communicated that better. Like, I'm all for like the lore and like trying to build up a story, but some of these things do have adverse, you know, effects on people's.
I do like it, like the like at least from what I know about their project, that they like just like delist themselves off OpenSea just because it's like, you know, like the whole WAGDIE stuff. I think it's pretty funny, but I mean, imagine holding one and then you're like holding 10 or something and then seeing, oh, it's gone. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so, you know, we've had that. It just continues to be free mint season. Like all of these free mints and derivatives and knockoffs. I'm going to go ahead and show one free mint that isn't a knockoff. It's a you know, fairly original piece here, and that is actually our buddy here in the chat, Dekenza's. He has his own little project that he passed along to us. So, you know, it's kind of some phallic generative art. They're dicks. I was trying to say it a little more couth, Dan, but I guess we'll just go, it's dick art, if you will.
It's dick.
So shout out to Dekenza's for putting out 2,000 pieces, you know, free mint. He airdropped Dan and I each one of them. So I'm holding on to my Dekenza until the day I die, buddy. Not gonna lie, I originally put it in my hidden folder because I was like, who did this? And then I was like, oh, wait a second. So there we go. But yeah, going back to the free mints, it has been just this constant game of hot potato.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are definitely people who have been doing very well because they have been botting the hell out of these drops and mass minting them and then just dumping them on other people. But I do think that, this whole phase we're in is going to set the market back even further than it was already going to be.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you think that the amount of free mints is because general like faith is kind of low in the market, and with like ETH like being quite volatile, people are like less inclined to spend like point oh something ETH, and
well,
instead like free mint.
I think people saw the success of Goblintown as a free
Yeah.
mint, and it just created this new wave of like, I think a there's some decent projects out there that aren't releasing because they don't want to do free mints, but they also don't want to release during these
Yeah.
like shitty market conditions.
Yeah, which is fine, right? Like,
Yeah, like if that's what you gotta do, it's what you gotta do. But all of these free mints, like so many people are like buying the top and thinking that things are gonna keep going up, and it's just not gonna happen. Like, not everything is gonna go to 4 or 5 ETH like Goblintown. Like, I'd be shocked if any of these things did. Like, we're seeing WAGDIE earlier in the week; it was up to like 1.5.
yeah, I saw
And it's pulling back now to under 1 ETH again. It's at 0.795 now, so it keeps dipping. So I don't really think we're going to see a lot of these projects, be around. Like, this time next week, I'm curious how much of these are going to still be in the top 50 even for volume, right? Like, I can't imagine many of them. So it's a weird time there. Let's see what else. Yesterday was I'm not going to say it was a rug pull because I don't think that is right, but Satoshi, the creator of the mfers.
Yeah. What is about Satoshi? Please film me. I looked on Twitter yesterday, and all I see is Satoshi this, Satoshi that.
So yesterday was was like Satoshi's like swan song, if you will. He put out this a post on mirror.xyz where he basically put out there, it was like, hey, I'm done. I'm heading out. I'm gonna leave I've changed the contract for the royalties. 50% of the MFers royalties are going to go to a multi-sig wallet that's held by the community. So 7 community members are signed this contract. 4 of them are required to make decisions on it. So he's leaving 50% of the royalties to the community. He's still keeping 25%, which I think kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way of like, you've made a good amount of money on this, and now you're dipping out, but you still want to keep a quarter of the money, even though the community is going to be responsible for driving all the value now. Like, what the hell's up with that? Another 25% is going to like some other people who helped, build it up. So he had an open edition yesterday on 6/9 to kind of commemorate like his GN piece, which is like kind of his last piece, and then he like shut down his Twitter account. You go search him on Twitter and it says it no longer exists. So this was a bit of a shock to people and had a lot of people divided on whether or not this was constituted a rug pull.
That's pretty crazy because he had like, you could call him an influencer, right? Like he had like 100,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, when I looked up yesterday, like 185,000. Like he was definitely, he was an influencer, made a lot of great memes, made a lot of people laugh.
And MFers.
I don't necessarily want to say it was a rug pull because it's not like he promised, when MFers came out, he wasn't promising the world. This isn't like Pixelmon where he was promising all this stuff, raise a shit ton of money. Ooh, okay. So that's a bad look. Did not know that piece. So thank you for the heads up there. Yeah, I definitely think that putting that story out that he was post out that he was going to be leaving before the open edition sales began probably would have been the classier way to handle that, because taking 1,200 ETH and then bouncing, that's a rug for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends what the context around the open edition, right? But yeah, that's not a great look, and I wonder, was it maybe that it's like he never wanted this to be this big. We never expected MFers to be this big, and then he kind of gets stuck into this like motion where he just like keeps growing, and he's like, dude, I can't handle all this or something. I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not a good look. It's it's frustrating for the people. Like there are a ton of people who love MFers and who continue to rock them as their PFP and will continue to do so. And once again, it comes down to like expectation. He had made it pretty clear this wasn't going to be like a Yuga Labs thing where he was trying to build out this whole universe around the MFers.
Yeah. Has the floor price been affected much?
It got up to like Snoop yesterday made his PFP an MFer before all this went down. So the floor got up to 2.4 ETH and now it's around 1.45.
Okay.
So it has dipped considerably. There was also yesterday a snapshot taken for like a companion piece, I think. So that was part of it. But yeah, it's it was rough. It was tough for people who really liked MFers, but the show must go on. So another thing that's been all over Twitter last week or so was all of these. I'm going to call out some people who are also Bored Ape holders who are kind of being crybabies because like the Ape Fest ticket claiming process happened on Wednesday. Earlier this week, the BAYC Twitter account put out a tweet saying like you're going to go on and you're going to select your priority as far as like if I want day 1, 2, 3, or 4, like what order you want them in. And everyone was like a lot of people are under the impression that they would be able to go to all 4 days. Which, if you look at the capacity of the venue that was shared, over a month ago, look where it is. They said in the original tweet thread that like, hey, venue has a capacity of like 3,400 people. People are going to have the opportunity to bring a +1 just like they did last year. So if you did like some basic math, it would have been very clear that there's no way that like even if let's say 40% of ape holders were going to New York, 30% of ape holders going to New York, and half of them brought a +1. Not everyone is going to be able to go to all 4 nights. So it seems very likely that everyone is going to get into at least 1 night. A lot of people will probably get into 2. I doubt anyone's going to get into 3 or definitely not all 4. But like people were throwing hissy fits with the fact that they weren't going to go. And like, they're doing a concert every night, free food, open bar for 5 hours, like all the open bar, food before and after, like all this stuff. And people are still finding a reason to complain about, oh, well, I'm not getting as much free stuff as I wanted to. And so I was just like, you guys are so,
there's always something,
the entitlement, right? And it was just so damn annoying. To me, it was a bad look for BAYC, which has had a lot of bad looks lately.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I think the last time we really talked about BAYC, maybe like a month ago, you weren't like all too positive about BAYC. Was your outlook changed on like Yuga and BAYC in general, or is it still kind of the same?
No, I mean that's why I had that mutant listed for sale. Is like, and I have the corresponding ape for that mutant also listed for sale. And I'm not going to be if WAGDIE wants to buy that and burn it too, they can send me 115 ETH. Like that's fine. But yeah, I've lost a little bit of confidence in Yuga for sure. Part of it is we've also seen a lot of bad stuff around their most recent merch drop. Like not only was the designs pretty trash on a lot of it, but the quality has been really bad.
Interesting.
So like I feel like they're getting too big too fast. The community has also changed, and I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the people who are in it now. Once again, it goes back to this like entitlement and thinking that they're better than other people because they're Bored Apes. Like I think that's a little bullshit. And so I'm just kind of really frustrated. And at this point, I'm just like, I'm way up since being in BAYC, so I have no complaints there. And I still have a lot of like, close friends who are BAYC holders, but I don't feel the need to own as many pieces from that ecosystem as I have previously. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to, move some money out of that and, keep some in cash, try to move some into some other projects that I believe have, also strong potential long term.
Yeah, because it sounds like those holders need to be like humbled more, right?
Yeah,
the BAYC isn't the end all be all, and like there's gonna be like a new king eventually, and it's gonna happen.
Some dude put out this
unexpectedly.
This cringe tweet of like, I paid $360,000 and I don't even get to go to the party all 4 nights. I'm like, shut the fuck up! Like that is just, you have that much money to spend on a JPEG and you're complaining about anything in life. That just shows a lack of perspective. So shut the hell up! Like it was just so annoying. So there's that. Why don't you update me on Wolf Game, because before the show, you were saying that you've moved some more money into Wolf Game. So give me the rundown
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so at the start of the show, I mentioned that I sold something for like 12 ETH, and it's at mid one by G Money. And the reason why I could mint that is because I staked for a Wolf Game team at the very start, and you could mint it, and lo and behold, it's worth a lot. So I sold it. After like nights of looking at the floor, and I was like, it's not going up. 2 days like barely any sales, right? I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and sell it. And of course, the moment I sell it, I look again, and it suddenly has like 60 sales instead of like 0 over 2 days, and it's like, oh, the floor is 16 now. But alas. So I put 10 ETH worth in Wolf Game, so 4 ETH worth of wool and like 6 ETH worth of like a single wolf. So the reason why I did it is because they posted a tweet, I think 2 days ago, maybe 1 day ago, where they said that the full game wasn't going to be coming out in the first half of this year, but instead in Q4. But they also had like a fairly lengthy thread on Twitter where they outlined why and what's next. So basically like a mini roadmap saying, oh, this is going to happen in Q2, like the farmer and land reveal in Q2 or Q3, and then more mini games in between. So they're working on it, and floors got like sliced in half, I think. And like we've always talked about, has anything changed? No. Okay, the game is delayed by at the longest possible 6 months, which is not a lot, but there's things to bridge that gap, and in my opinion, it doesn't change anything from the game itself. If anything, it might release in a way better market. Maybe the market doesn't exist anymore, but at that time. But hey, if the market's better in 6 months and the conditions are way better, then I don't mind. And so yeah, nothing changed, and saw a good opportunity to buy more, and I did it. So there you go.
All right. Make that bet, hammer on that conviction play. I love it. We've seen a few other things this week. Smilesverse, which we had Wahid on before. We've been pounding the drum for a long time on that one. They had an announcement that they're partnering with NBA legend Steph Curry, fellow Bored Ape holder Steph Curry. So they're doing a special drop with him, which I think is really cool. And then we had the Goda mint pass, has been one of the highest performing things this week. It was a 1 ETH mint. Pharrell Williams and the artist Cause is part of that. So is Jimmy.eth, who is a pretty well-known holder in the space. So this is a mint pass that will allow the holders to get future projects. So that has run from like 1 ETH. It was up to 7 ETH last that I looked. So another solid win right there. So there are still opportunities to make money in this space. Now that you're getting back into it a little bit, Dan, since you got back home a few days ago, how much crazier do you think the market's going to get? Do you feel like we're going to recover in the coming weeks, or do you think we're going to go further into a bear market, over the next few months?
I wonder. I think it's mostly related to ETH being so unstable and suddenly just dropping 10% on a single day, and it's like you don't really know what to expect. People are maybe afraid to spend money. So I think if ETH keeps dropping, I think we'll continue seeing these like degen, free mint, Anon team, like those types of projects. If ETH recovers a bit, like 2K, 2.5K or something like fairly high, then I think we'll start seeing money flow back to the quote unquote blue chip projects again. But for now, unsure.
Yeah, I feel like this bear market that we're in is going to persist for a while, and I think it's going to be short-term pain for the coming months, but in the long term, it's going to probably be for the best, because we've talked about it before. Like, we're going to weed out a lot of scammers. Yeah. We're going to weed out people who were just here to make a quick buck. Quality projects, that have built up a solid amount of capital in their war chest are going to be able to survive this and move forward. And so, if those are continuing to fall, those are areas that I would maybe look at putting more money into. Things like Yuga, Artifact, Doodles, Even Pixel Vault, they still confuse the living hell out of me. I don't totally understand
We still
all
need
pieces
someone
of it.
on this show to explain us.
I'm
How the
trying to.
hell are they? I know.
None of them are getting back to me.
Yeah, you told me. It's so sad.
Yeah, so I would love to learn more about that because those are definitely at a discount, like the meta heroes and the sidekick passes. So I think there's still a lot of places that you can go if you're looking to not necessarily time the bottom, but find that local bottom and park some ETH in there. If you were, if you had the foresight, or if you listened to a show that told you to take profits earlier this year, us. So, there's still money to be made if you can avoid the noise that comes with Twitter and Discord, where everyone is so short-sighted and panicking. Place your bets and step away for a while if you need to. Come back like every once in a while. Or
you can go to Dallas for like 2 weeks and then come back and drop 10k, like 10 ETH on the project.
There you go. Legit, like if you unfollow, I think one of the best strategies you can do is like place your bets on stuff, unfollow everyone on Twitter except for the projects that you're betting on, and then just turn on notifications so that when they tweet out something, you can hear what's going on with them. Other than that, just ignore the rest of the noise because you're just going to see more people like pumping their own bags. I mean, still continue to follow Dan and I, of course. But people shilling garbage that they're trying to use their followers as exit liquidity.
Yeah, and it's just like you mentioned. I just placed another like high confidence bet on Wolf game, like I've been doing for like the last God knows how long. And if Wool goes to like the all-time high again, I'll be settled. I think I'll go on another holiday then if it does.
If if Ape and ETH go on all-time highs, that would be cool too. Sometime in the future.
Maybe. I do wonder how, like, if ETH goes to all-time high again, how the market will look like. It's gonna be like, because when ETH moons, we haven't, like, at least the last time it moons or like whatever mooned to like, what was it like, maybe like it was like around 2k and it went to like 2.5 I think. And I think if I remember correctly, Bored Ape Yacht Club was still like stable in ETH price.
Yeah, I mean, when we saw a big run back in November of last year to over 4K, everything like NFT prices all went down in ETH because everyone was still pricing everything in USD. So
yeah.
I honestly think the best thing that could happen for the NFT markets would be, we had this news, this inflation report came out today that caused a lot of panic, not surprisingly. Prices are going down. I think the best thing long term is if we stabilize and there's a slow build back up with the price of ETH. Like a fast rise doesn't usually tend to be a good thing for NFT floor prices, but a slow and steady build back up, which it could. I don't see it starting anytime soon. I think we may, go significantly lower than we are right now. But I'm also not an expert on this stuff, so I'm not going to pretend like I am. I just, tend to just buy and hold and try to take profits on the way up.
We theorize.
Yeah. So I see that being the likely scenario of like, there's still going to be blood in the streets for NFTs for a while. NFT NYC could be a positive thing if these projects, like I saw Cool Cats released kind of like a virtual walkthrough of what their NFT NYC experience is going to be, and it looks really awesome. Like it looks like they're planning some really cool stuff there. Yeah. Obviously, BAYC is doing a lot. Moonbirds. Every project is having their events, and if they deliver and people continue to see, I'm going to be able to come every holding this NFT, I'm going to be able to come to this every year indefinitely and experience it. Like there's less incentive to sell a lot of these things if they get a great experience, and as those experiences expand and there are more events throughout the year. So. Yeah, I think these higher quality projects that have money to put into IRL experiences have a good chance of continuing to maintain a solid floor price while everything else goes to shit.
Yeah, and alert, Cool Cats actually went up for once.
Hey, look at that!
Yeah, they went down to at its lowest that I saw was like 2.9, and now they're back at like 4. So I'd love to see it. I'm still not a holder. I was thinking about it when I sold my Admit One by G Money. I was like, do I look at Because we talked about it, right? What if you had 10 ETH? I think that's what we talked about 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. We were
Yeah,
like,
it was
what
like
if
one
you
of
have,
the last episodes before you left.
yeah, and I was like, what do you buy if you have 10 ETH? And I had 10 ETH, and I did end up like pumping it on a Wolf game. But I
Yeah.
was like, do I go Cool Cats and Duplicator, or a lot of choices to be made.
The duplicator has held up pretty well. It got to a low of 2.8. It popped back up a bit. Now it's hanging around 3. I mean, we got like World of Women at
Consistent.
3.5. That's pretty that's been a big fall off from their peak of like 15. So there's so much, and that's not a project where I see the team dipping out. Like I don't see them just disappearing here in the coming months. Like they had their Dutch auction for the Galaxy where they made a lot of money, and the team can withstand an extended bear market and still continue to grow the product. So there's a lot of fear and uncertainty right now. I hope that people out there sold some stuff on the way up and took some profits and are now in a position where they don't have to panic, because acting out of emotion right now is a really good way to have some regrets in the long run.
Yeah, I'm at like the polar opposite of emotion. I'm just like, I'm so like not to like toot my own horn. I'm so like detached from the monetary value at this point. I'm like, okay, Wolf game, my high conviction play, let's go.
Yeah, I'm kind of numb to
Yeah,
some of
yeah, we're
these
used to
prices
this
going
one, I
down.
think.
It's just like, all
Another day
right, we've seen this
in the
before.
office,
We'll
right?
see it's gonna, like, more and more stuff is becoming crypto native, and
Yeah.
like crypto's not
PayPal.
going anywhere.
PayPal
Huh?
PayPal has accepted crypto for transactions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be more and more companies are accepting it. I saw a stat that like 93% of companies who have started accepting crypto payments have seen, an increase in revenue, which is
Wow.
going to only encourage more to do it. So
Yeah,
whether or not the boomers want to adopt crypto doesn't really matter.
money is money.
It's it's gone past them. They're going to have to
Yeah,
either like catch up or just keep complaining about
yeah.
it.
And
But,
all those people, they're like if like a bunch of boomers working at a company, and they're like, what's this crypto stuff? And then if 93% make a like increased revenue, then they'll find a way to incorporate it, and like, or not, and they die, which is also okay, but well,
or
as a
they
company, right?
die.
Not on a personal level, not not on a personal, on a company level. I mean, the business will die, eventually if they don't like keep up with the trends. But you know, like, odds are they're gonna incorporate it as well. What is this? It's definitely like something you would tweet, right?
That was me.
Yeah, I can tell by the pixels. But yeah, like, even if they have no, even if they don't care about crypto, if it makes them money, they'll most likely still implement it. What is this?
WAGDIE. Escalated quickly. Dan out here basically killing
They
off
can
an entire
die.
generation of people to protect his own bags. That's that sure is something.
Yeah.
So I think this is probably a good place to end the show, Dan.
Yeah, before I get locked up.
If you've been listening to the podcast and you want to keep up with the shenanigans even more, head on over to YouTube, follow the FLOLiO YouTube channel, and watch our videos when you get home. Not when you're driving or anything. We don't need you getting into an accident.
Yeah, stay safe.
But come see our smiling faces. We do some screen sharing. Some of it useful, some of it just goofiness. But I think that's a good place to wrap it today, Dan. Any final words before we send the people out?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good. I think we're perfect.
Okay. So for the team at FLOLiO, for the baby boomer generation hater, Dan Vondelok, I am Jeremy. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Head over to FLOLiO.com to check out all of our free tools. We will see you all next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye bye.